They never expect you to show up, especially not when you're supposed to be broken. You really thought I wouldn't come? My words struck through the buzzing backyard air. Instantly, all chatter faded, as if the trees themselves leaned in to listen. There, my ex-husband, pale as chalk, stood like he'd just seen a ghost. His pregnant wife, young, nervous, clung to his arm as if it was her only lifeline. This was the man who 2 years and a lifetime ago slammed divorce papers down, saying I was defective goods because I couldn't bear him children. But fate had a script twist for him. Behind me, the white Lamborghini's door swung up like angel wings, and 4 bright-eyed toddlers burst into the summer scene, each laughing freely, their energy a living, breathing rebuke to the man who'd labeled me as less than. Heads spun, whispers whipped through the crowd, and I stood there, tall, unknowable, mother to 4, every one of them carrying my new last name, Blackwell. Karma doesn't whisper. She struts in wearing heels. Storybook timing spinning behind her like a train. My name is Naomi Blackwell now, but through 8 years of marriage, I wore the name Naomi Peterson, clinging to the impossible dream of being the perfect wife to a man who only saw my worth in what my body could give. I bent myself around his vision, breaking piece by piece as he reduced me from lover to broken vessel. 8 years of living as a question. Am I enough? For the baby shower, as my children ran breathless to the swing sets, I realized this was the universe's rewrite. The same family and friends who once pitied me now scrambled to compute the impossible. The so-called barren woman, with 4 radiant souls at her side, and a luxury car gleaming in the drive. Before you judge today's justice, you have to live my past. The years spent begging doctors to fix me. The endless cycle of hope and shame, and the husband who measured love by test results. Subscribe to the Untold channel and like it. Our vibrant stories will add years to your life. Join our storytelling club and tell us in the comments, where do you listen to them from? I'm not just telling my story for catharsis. I'm telling it for every person who's been called not enough, who's been tossed aside, heart torn to pieces because someone else couldn't see their real value. If you've ever been shoved into the shadows while someone else claimed the light, this is for you. My journey started in a summer storm. 2019, when I was 24, eyes big, heart naive, firmly believing love could fix anything broken. At my cousin's wedding, wearing lavender as maid of honor, a spilled glass of bubbly sparked that famous movie Meet Cute with Derek Peterson, his smile full of finance bro confidence, a future on his tongue, and that effortless charm people mistake for depth. He talked of a big family, and I fell for his fairy tale, believing each romantic gesture meant fate had written my name beside his. What they don't explain is that some fairy tales end up as cautionary tales, especially for women who dare to want more. The first 2 years felt like a magazine montage. Derek, steady job, homeowner, big plans, always talked about the children we'd have. His eyes would light up in baby stores, and his hands would linger on tiny outfits, murmuring promises about our impossibly beautiful kids. He made me feel essential to his happiness, saying things like, "You're the missing piece I never knew I needed." Our beachside wedding, sunset in Mexico, vows to love through sickness and health. Joy and pain felt like the culmination of every childhood fantasy. But fairy tales have fine print. 6 months after the honeymoon, reality crept in. Trying for a baby became a campaign. Derek's questions about my cycle, my diet, my body. At first, it was gentle, helpful, caring even. Then, each failed month painted disappointment on his face, a disappointment seasoned with the questions he never voiced. By our second anniversary, the magic vanished, replaced by ovulation kits, fertility apps, and an intimacy that felt scheduled, mechanical, joyless. Our bedroom became a laboratory, our kisses replaced by medical reminders. Derek stopped touching me, except during the window. Stopped asking about my day unless it was about a new appointment. Every visit to the doctor chipped away at my confidence. Each test returned normal. But Derek only dug deeper, convinced the flaw was mine. I injected myself with hormones that made me sick, physically and emotionally, while Derek offered no patience, only snappy remarks about how stress is probably why you can't get pregnant. He started staying late at work, escaping to friends, while I spiraled through forums, blaming myself for every failed cycle. They say heartbreak is silent, but infertility roared in every room of our house, tearing us apart, piece by piece. It wasn't just my body that felt like a battleground. My whole sense of self was under siege. Derek's love became conditional, doled out in small, cold rations. The once supportive man who vowed to face life's storms with me now flinched from my tears and accused me of failing him. Family dinners that once brimmed with laughter grew tense. His mother's probing glances, the way Derek joined in when they whispered about not waiting too long to start a family. Each conversation became another tally mark in my secret mental ledger of shame. I started avoiding my own reflection, no longer recognizing the woman who stood there. This hollowed version of Naomi, mocked by hope and haunted by self-doubt. At night, instead of sharing dreams, we lay back to back, adrift in sadness and silence. All the while, the rest of the world marched on, scrolling perfect snapshots of parenthood I feared I'd never know. Our marriage unraveled like cheap thread, one small cruelty at a time. Derek, desperate to dodge the context of his own growing distance, suggested we take a break, as if time apart could heal wounds he sliced open daily. But what he really wanted was a scapegoat, and I was the easiest target. I still tried. Counseling appointments, he skipped twice. Trips, books, anything. But he remained absent, hiding behind work and pretending the issue could be solved with more discipline, more effort, more of anything except empathy. At family gatherings, he'd joke about the expensive hobby of trying for a baby, while I shrank smaller. Eventually, one chilly autumn morning, Derek left divorce papers on the kitchen table, his signature already inked. "It's better if we cut our losses," he wrote in a note, like I was a doomed investment, not the woman he once called his forever. I moved out the next day, suitcase in hand, heart numb. My friends tried to rally, but it felt like my world had collapsed, my dreams of a family erased with the stroke of a pen. Nights were the hardest. The echo of familiar voices haunted my tiny rented apartment. I cycled through grief, disbelief, anger, and shame. Always shame. But somewhere in those sleepless nights, anger began to spark. Why should I carry all this blame alone? My value wasn't dictated by biology. That fury became fuel. So I started rebuilding, slowly, painfully. I saw a therapist who helped stitch my confidence back together. I made new friends, reconnected with old ones. For the first time in years, I focused on who Naomi was outside of being Derek's wife. I tried out new hobbies, cooked meals for myself, and let go of poisonous guilt I'd worn for too long. Time has a strange way of healing, if you let it. As months passed, I reevaluated everything. The idea that family only meant blood, or that motherhood had to happen a certain way. My therapist and newfound support circle showed me there were children everywhere who longed for love just as fiercely as I did. Adoption, once a quiet, distant dream, began to burn bright. I dove into paperwork, classes, meetings. It was grueling and at times terrifying, but every step forward chipped away at old wounds. I felt alive for the first time since I could remember, fueled not by desperation, but by hope. The idea of children, my children, once filled me with dread and heartache, now ignited something powerful inside me. Soon, my home was filled with giggles and footsteps. 4 beautiful souls, each arriving with their own story, energy, and laughter, finally calling me Mom. With my children, my sense of purpose returned tenfold. I poured my love and newfound courage into motherhood, reading bedtime stories, patching scraped knees, discovering all the tiny miracles of a household that buzzed with life. At the same time, a career opportunity knocked. Entrepreneurship, the dream I once sacrificed for Derek's plans. I launched my own interior design business, blending creativity with grit. Clients called, projects grew, and before long, I'd bought us a beautiful home. The kind Derek once claimed we couldn't afford alone. My children watched me navigate challenges, and I made sure they saw how hard-won pride shines brightest. Success didn't come overnight. It was built from heartbreak, stubbornness, and a refusal to shrink. For the first time ever, I celebrated Mother's Day with 4 hand-drawn cards and a certainty that all the pain had created something fiercely beautiful. Naomi Blackwell had been broken, but now she led an empire, not in Derek's shadow, but in her own light. Life can surprise you just when you think you've put your past to rest. One morning, a glossy white envelope arrived in my mailbox, an invitation to a lavish baby shower for Derek and his new wife. The note was written in perfect script, signed by old mutual friends. At first, I considered tossing it, but the urge to reclaim my story burned inside me. I remembered every insult, every cold glance, every moment I was made to feel inferior. Now, with my thriving business and 4 incredible children, I had something more powerful than anger. I had closure. I decided to go. Not out of bitterness, but to show myself, once and for all, that I had survived, rebuilt, and triumphed. I chose the perfect dress, a shade of emerald that made my skin glow, and booked the white Lamborghini that had become my declaration of independence. My heart, once shattered, was now armored in strength and pride. The day of the baby shower arrived, sun blazing overhead. I fastened pearl earrings and brushed my children's hair with gentle fingers, feeling a rush of gratitude for the messy, vibrant life we'd built. As we pulled up to the elegant backyard, chatter faded and heads turned. The sight of the Lamborghini and 4 giggling children tumbling out ignited whispers and a ripple of disbelief among the guests. Derek stood frozen, his arm around his new wife, whose eyes darted anxiously toward us. I felt every stare, every ounce of curiosity and judgment, but this time I faced it with quiet power. "Hello, everyone," I said, my voice calm and clear. My children circled close, holding my hands. The crowd parted, unsure whether to offer congratulations or to gawk at the woman who had rewritten her own ending. I walked in as myself, no longer embarrassed, not diminished, a mother, a leader, and living proof that I was worth so much more. Inside, the decorations sparkled, but the tension was palpable. Old friends who once avoided me after the divorce now tried to mask their surprise, some offering stiff smiles, others watching with unveiled curiosity. Derek's mother, who had once questioned my worth, glanced at me with wide eyes, unable to reconcile the woman before her with the one she had dismissed. My children quickly charmed the guests, laughter echoing as they played, their happiness undeniable. I caught Derek's gaze, his shock, his regret, flickering across his features. That moment held a silent message. I had not just survived, I had flourished. No words needed to be exchanged. The 4 children, mine, alive, adored, spoke for me. I looked around and sensed a shift. The pitiful looks had been replaced by stunned admiration. The world that once shrank me now had to reframe its story around the truth I'd created. Towards the end of the party, a few brave guests came up to congratulate me, their voices tinged with awe and respect. "We're so happy for you, Naomi," they said, as if only now recognizing my resilience. Derek's young wife, unsure and nervous, approached amid the gentle storm of celebration. "You have a beautiful family," she murmured quietly. For the first time, I saw her not as the source of my old pain, but as someone with her own struggles, fears, and hopes. I smiled, hoping my story offered her comfort rather than rivalry. She deserved compassion, not the bitterness Derek once showed me. My children thrived on the joy and attention, basking in gains and cake. I realized then that healing isn't about proving yourself to others, but about finding peace with your own journey and letting your happiness shine without apology. The sun set in a cascade of gold, lighting up my children's faces. For a moment, Derek approached, his expression a mixture of shame and longing. "You did amazing, Naomi," he whispered, voice low enough that only I could hear. There was no need for an apology. His words spoke volumes. He finally saw me, all of me, far beyond the narrow lens of our marriage. I felt no triumph in his regret, just an affirmation that I had crossed the bridge from my broken past to a radiant present. My family gathered around, their laughter weaving a tapestry of hope. Leaving the party, I felt lighter than ever before. I had not returned to remind anyone of my pain, but to show that from devastation, light can pour in. My children, my empire, are proof that sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all, but simple, undeniable happiness. The drive home was a quiet celebration. My children sang silly songs in the back seat, their joy infusing every corner of the car. I glanced at them in the rearview mirror, overcome by an emotion too profound for words, a sense of fulfillment I'd once thought impossible. Years ago, my notion of happiness was tangled in marriage, in meeting expectations I never set for myself. Now I understood that success is not measured by someone else's checklist, but by the peace in your soul and the love you create around you. Our home was noisy and chaotic, but alive with genuine connection. Every evening, as we gathered around the dinner table, I let the past fade farther away. The challenges I'd faced became stepping stones, not scars. In the laughter and chaos, I discovered that my journey was valid, no matter how different it looked from the norm. I had crafted a life that felt beautifully complete, on my own terms. Resilience became the greatest gift I could offer my children. After all I'd endured, I was determined they grow up knowing their worth was not tied to anyone else's approval. Each bedtime story, each hug, each word of encouragement became part of their foundation. I taught them that setbacks didn't define us, they refine us. We celebrated not just victories, but efforts and honesty. When my eldest struggled at school, instead of criticism, I offered support and listened. I wanted them to know mistakes were opportunities, not evidence of failure. As a family, we volunteered together, helping others who felt unseen or forgotten. I watched my children stretch their hearts wider, learning the power of kindness. My hope was simple, that they'd step into the world unafraid to be themselves, secure in the knowledge that love and perseverance could carry them through anything life set before them. As the years passed, healing opened up new possibilities. I found joy in my work and embraced single motherhood with pride. But love had not left my life. In a design workshop, I met Gabriel, a gentle, grounded soul with laughter that filled a room, and eyes that saw my history, not as baggage, but as a badge of honor. Our friendship grew slowly, rooted in respect and understanding. He bonded instantly with my children, inviting them to help with puzzles and weekend projects. There was no rush and no pressure, just the slow unfolding of trust. Gabriel showed me that love can arrive quietly, without fanfare. It's less about grand gestures and more about daily presence, picking up groceries, helping with homework, listening deeply. In time, I opened my heart again, realizing that true connection happens when you are confident in your own worth, regardless of anyone else's view. With Gabriel, new traditions blossomed. Our blended family cooked Sunday dinners, took long walks in the park, and explored new places together. He treated my children as his own, never trying to replace anyone, but always willing to add more love. For the first time, partnership felt like a safe harbor, not a test. Together we encouraged each other's ambitions, my business and his volunteering, with mutual support. The children flourished in this atmosphere of respect and affection, secure and happy. I realized that healing is seldom linear. It comes in quiet moments and shared laughter. Looking ahead, the future was wide open and full of promise. The lessons of the past no longer weighed me down. They acted as fuel. Life had come full circle, and I knew just how precious second chances could be. With each passing day, I found comfort and wonder in the family I had chosen and built. Standing on my porch at sunset, watching my children and Gabriel play in our sunlit yard, I finally understood the power of rewriting your narrative. My story was never about loss. It was about transformation. I used to chase validation from people who couldn't see my true depth. But now, I write my story for myself and for anyone who ever felt excluded or unworthy. The pain, the heartbreak, and the humility led me to happiness I wouldn't trade for anything. What remained was love, genuine, unconditional, and fiercely protective. If my life teaches anything, let it be this: you have the right to create joy from brokenness, to define family and success in your own words, and to forge a future that reflects your truth. I am Naomi Blackwell, a mother, builder, survivor, and most of all, the author of a life that's rich in meaning and love.